I'm a general in God's army, and no weapon formed against me can never harm me. Not take notes.
What's happening? This is Ivory, and I'm a Christian soldier. So when you see me in your hood, salute. Me and the Broski Lyric just blazed another one for the record books, the Christian Soldiers Remix. It's on the new Dunamis EP, available now on Spotify, Apple Music, and Amazon. And you can also check me out at iradubb.com. I hope this joint right here inspires y'all to get up, get out, spread the gospel, and make disciples. On with Christian soldiers.
Marching on the war with the cross of Jesus, going on before Christ the royal master leads against the...
That's gonna be a problem. That's gonna be a problem.
FiveTwenty Collective, where music meets ministry and the indie artist takes center stage.
Take a ride through my old town, old me, old Sean, might need boats, cry oceans, here float down my old child, fear so broke, no hope round here, been trying to cope since like 01, better slow down for your cosign, you like ocean.
What's up, and welcome to another episode of the FiveTwenty Collective Podcast here on the Trackstarz Podcasting Network. That's right, we are in the field, and this is where music meets ministry and the indie artist takes center stage right here on the FiveTwenty Collective Podcast. I am Eric Boston. I am joined, I want to say like always, but it's not been like always here lately, but I'm glad to say I'm joined again by my brother Nate Shelton. What's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going? It's nice to be back. Took a nice little month off last with the podcast, and good to be back. I think we had a stretch there where neither of us were on the show one of us was not on the show for a couple episodes, so nice to be back together doing the podcast again.
Yes, sir, man. And shout out to our opening sponsor, Ivory. Definitely appreciate the support there. And we want to make sure that you guys know that this episode is being sponsored by Ryland Jr. and his new single, Addicted. It hits your favorite digital outlets on Tuesday, November 24th of 2020. The official lyric video premieres on YouTube Sunday, November 15th, so make sure you subscribe to Ryland Jr.'s channel and go pre-order Addicted from his website. It is rj.jpradio.org. So go check that out now. Ryland Jr., the new single, Addicted. Shout out to Ryland Jr., shout out to Ira Dub for helping us make this episode of the podcast possible. Nate, man, why don't you let the people know where they can hit you up?
Well, like always, you can find me on Twitter at IAM_NateDog. Find me over there keeping up with all the music and all kinds of other ramblings that we might get stuck on Twitter. You know how easy it is to devolve into conversations on Twitter, so you never know what you'll find me talking about lately, but majority of the time you're going to see me talking about CHH and what's going on with the industry, so follow me there.
Man, you're not trying to tell me that you are having conversations about anything other than music, though? Not this time of the year, right? Not this year in particular. Come on, Nate.
There is nothing else going on this year other than CHH. This has been the least eventful year in my lifetime.
Right? Well, I'm just going to trust you, man, because I don't feel like you would lie to me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to trust you. But guys, if you want to hit me up, I also am on Twitter. You can find me Twitter and on Parler at EricBoston3. It is at EricBoston and the number 3. So check it out. Hit us up. And of course, you can follow all things FiveTwenty across Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. It's at FiveTwentyCHH. Make sure you go to the website as well, FiveTwentyCollective.com, where it's your home of independent Christian hip-hop, gospel rap, Christian rap, whatever you want to call it. If it is about Christ, we are about it. So make sure you check out FiveTwentyCollective.com now. So Nate, man, like you said, it's been a minute since we've both been on the podcast. What's kind of been going on for you, man? Any new music or anything catching your ear that you want to talk about?
Well, if I know you've been paying attention, if anybody else out there has been paying attention at all with music that's been coming out last let's see, the 30th of October had a massive week for music and CHH. Tons of good projects came out, including our guy Cam over at Culture Villains. His debut album came out. If you haven't heard that yet, that is a must listen. That was probably one of the better albums of the year. Also, our friend K-Sade did a album with Drew Bex. Another great project you got to check out. So, lots of good stuff out there right now. If you haven't listened to those, you better put that on your list of things to do this month.
Yeah, man. Of course, those projects, Problematic by Cam, the UFO Tofu by K Sade and Drew Beck's, a couple of favorites for me, man. And then some big news. Our guy out there in Hawaii, Thomas Iannucci, signing with J. Crumb's Streetlight Sounds, man. They produced an album together, Kuleana, that won Thomas his second Hawaiian Grammy. And now the duo are linked together, for the foreseeable future at this point, man. I'm excited to see what happens there with Streetlight Sounds. Man, we've got some cool stuff happening, just like from an independent label wise, with Streetlight Sounds and Build Your Own Dreams with Aaron Knight. So a lot of cool stuff happening around the CHH space, Nate.
Right, a lot of artists and different CHH personalities out there and people behind the scenes creating their own lanes. I mean, not relying on that big contract out there with a label to make it in this industry. I really think, we've been seeing that more and more behind the scenes with what we're doing, but more and more of that is going to be out there with guys just kind of creating their own business or not really platform, but more label type collectives out there of their own instead of depending on the big labels to get their music out to everybody.
Yeah, man. And then a big shout out to our guy, King David the Vessel. He also dropped his single, My Words. It'd been out on radio for a minute, but he dropped that across digital platforms as well. And of course, that's the first single for his upcoming project titled Surrender Songs. So that's coming out, I believe, in December. So be on the lookout for that. We're playing a small part in that as part of the FiveTwenty Presents brand. So shout out to KD the Vessel dropping his new single. If you haven't heard it, man, go check it out because I think KD did a great job on this, man. It's the album as a whole, Nate, has a very different sound than I think we're used to in CHH. It's kind of, it leans a little more melodic. I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised with it, but I felt like he did a great job on that first single, My Words.
Yeah, it's definitely something that most hip-hop fans are probably not accustomed to hearing. But if you're looking for something a little different, not cookie cutter like a lot of the music out there, definitely go check out KD's album, and you may pleasantly be surprised at what you hear.
For sure. Man, Nate, we got some big news to reveal on this episode of the podcast. For those of you who have rocked with us kind of since the beginning, you know that in 2019, we held our first annual Rookie of the Year award. This is kind of just our way to recognize, a newer artist within the Christian hip hop space. And, last year Coop was able to win that. He, kind of came out as one of the finalists from the fan vote. And then, we got together as a staff and, selected him as our choice for the 2019 award. Well, we are pleased to announce on this episode right now our nominees for the 2020 Rookie of the Year. Nate, man, I feel like we've got a really good list, man, and it's going to be tough voting. We wanted to go ahead and get this out a little bit earlier than we did last year, to really give people a chance to be involved. We want to be more than just the people on staff that's doing this. So, one thing I will tell you guys is we're announcing it here, but the voting is going to take place on Twitter. So make sure you go to our Twitter account at FiveTwentyCHH. There's going to be a couple of polls, and make sure you vote for your pick on who should be this year's Rookie of the Year. And Nate, I'm going to turn it over to you, man. Why don't you let us know who has been chosen, who's our nominees for this year's award?
Well, we got this year I think it's really a great diverse list, you got all kinds of different sounds on there. I'll just run it down real quick. Our nominees this year started with Weeze the Satellite Kid. If you're not familiar with him, he is with part of the Artificial Christian group, hip hop group. He's done a lot of independent projects this year. Really came out and broke out on his own this year. Also, a guy we've just recently gotten familiar with, Just Call Me DT. He's had a nice EP come out and some nice singles that really caught my ear, and he's one artist I've been paying attention to lately. Paul Hernandez, he dropped an EP, I believe the beginning of the year, and a few singles the last couple months. So really, the EP is what caught my eye. He's really talented, does a lot of different stuff. Check that project out from Paul Hernandez if you haven't, or any of his music. BRM, we've kind of been rocking with him for a while. He's been working with us. He's done a couple albums. I think he did album this year that released?
He actually had three this year.
3 albums.
Yeah.
So he's probably one of the harder working guys in our space. Really talented. So if you're interested in him, go check him out. One guy that I found kind of enlightening this year, kind of caught my eye, was Riley Michael. He released an EP at the beginning of the year as well. Talented young guy. He's really starting to find his sound in CHH. Hugh Holla, I need to actually personally get familiar with him myself. I don't know a lot about him, but he had a single drop recently, I believe, correct?
He actually put out a mixtape, and Hugh is a guy who kind of transitioned over to CHH from the mainstream, had a pretty good following, they're at the mainstream level, and then has since been, given his life to Christ and come over to the CHH side. So we're excited to see that and excited to support him.
Right, and then after him, we got Anthony Sawyers. He's a newer artist out there, another Canadian artist. They're really starting to produce some great hip-hop artists. Of course, we got Fano, a friend of ours. He's from Toronto. Drew Bex, host of other Canadian rappers. So add Anthony Sawyers to that list. He had a very nice EP come out this year. And then rounding out the list, we have Salashi Vaz. We're familiar with her. We've been working with her for, I think, since we started the platform. And she's released some music, so get familiar with Salashi as well, because she is very talented, and I don't think she gets the respect that she quite deserves yet either.
Yeah, definitely. So shout out to our 2020 Rookie of the Year nominees. Again, that list is Weeze the Satellite Kid, Just Call Me DT, Paul Hernandez, BRM, Riley Michael, Hugh Holla, Anthony Sawyers, and Salachi Vaz. So make sure you go and hit up the Twitter account. Again, it is FiveTwentyCHH on Twitter, and make sure you vote. We need you guys to do that for us. So we want to make this one special. There's going to be a little prize package for the winner as well. We'll get into more details as that goes along. But make sure you go vote and just support these guys. Let them know you're proud of them. So make sure we do that. Man, Nate, before we get into this month's featured song, why don't we take a minute and talk about what you've been kind of reading, in the latest devotionals, what's God been putting on your heart. I know it's an interesting time right now, so I definitely want to hear kind of just what God's been saying to you.
Well, about the last week and a half, I believe we've been going through a study with our group and a devotional, the book of Proverbs. I don't know if that was something that God just kind of put on our hearts as a timely issue, or what, if, just a happen chance thing. Obviously, I don't personally believe that last part, but we've been talking about wisdom, and no time like the last couple weeks to be learning about wisdom. And something that really stuck out while we've been going through this study is just being available to listen to instruction and wisdom from whoever it might be. Me personally, I'm sure most teenagers, younger adults in their life, when their parents were telling them stuff that they were trying to give them advice on, if you're like me, I just kind of let it go in an ear and in one ear and out the other. But listening to that advice and wisdom is so crucial for later on in life, and so glad that I had parents that were willing to speak those words to me and, give me that godly wisdom that is helping me get to where I am today. So like I said, it's very timely with the last couple weeks we've been going through as a nation and as a church, and just something I think we need to talk more of as people that are part of God's body.
Yeah, man, I agree with you, and it was definitely, I think, something that was supposed to happen when we started this, because, we'd wrapped up our previous devotional. I was kind of scrolling through the app a little bit, like, okay, what I feel is like a good place for us to go next, and this devotional just kind of jumped out at me, and I was like, yeah, let's go through Proverbs. I think that was part of it as well. It's going through the whole book of Proverbs, and like I said, there's so much applicable stuff, right, throughout this whole book. And it's a lot of stuff that we definitely need right now, like you were talking about. And wisdom is one of those things, man, where it's like, I think when we step back and really look at the bigger picture and just really bring it all in when it comes to wisdom, man, it really starts to blow my mind, Nate. Like, I feel like we have kind of cheapened wisdom a little bit as human beings. Like, we say, hey, let me come here and give you some wisdom, right? Let me tell you what I've learned. And it's like, dude, wisdom is not ours. So to say, let me give this to you, nah, man, that's not how it works. We as humans, we're not wise. We're sinful. We're broken. The reason that we are able to get that wisdom is because God is another one of those gifts that He bestows upon us, right? Nothing on our own is going to make us wise, but what is going to ultimately do that is being able to stop and listen to what He's telling us, right? I think when we start connecting those dots, He starts giving us more wisdom, that to be able to apply to whatever might be at hand for us. Yeah, man, and we were talking before jumping on the podcast even about how in Proverbs 8, it's comparing wisdom to almost like a fellow like spirit or angel, or maybe something similar to like the Holy Spirit. Right now, this could just be the author using like some metaphorical language. I get that, but it's really interesting to think about, because it talks about how God created wisdom. So God existed before wisdom existed, right? He had to craft wisdom together. And then it talks about wisdom being at His side as a helper and delighting in God's action during creation. And man, dude, that just hit me. It hit me as something different, because it's like, oh, so not only was wisdom there to aid God, right? But like, wisdom not ultimately glorifies God as well, right? Wisdom worships God. And I don't know, just something about that, man, that's mind-blowing to me, Nate.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. And yeah, it's just the whole wisdom being there with God at the creation just makes you really think deeper about wisdom, because most people, as you were referring to, is they think of wisdom as like, oh, it's just, the stuff you've learned as you've gone through life, and you're passing that information on to the younger generation. And really, I mean, like you said, it's a gift. God was willing to give Solomon anything he wanted. God's telling you that you can have anything you want, and Solomon asks for his wisdom. It just, and this Proverbs is that gift to us, is Solomon imparting all this wisdom that he received from God to us so that we can share in that wisdom as well. So it's really, you think about wisdom and, all that it entails, and it kind of gets a little heavy if you delve too far into it. So
yeah. Well, to me, I'm sitting there going, if God created wisdom, that means God is something beyond wise. Like, I don't even know how you attempt to put that into words.
Yeah, our human mind, I don't think, can possibly comprehend that, and that'll be something that God, I believe, will reveal to us when, through eternity. So, but one other aspect, I was just thinking, as older, as I get older and am talking to younger people, is how am I helping impart that wisdom, and am I doing it in the way that God would approve of? Not talking down on people or saying this is the way you got to do it, or just taking someone aside and in love, explaining, hey, this is where I've been, this is what I've seen, this can possibly help you in your situation, instead of, wagging the finger at somebody as well. So just as we've been going through this study and going through Proverbs and all that it talks about in wisdom and everything, is just really had me kind of reassess a lot of things in my life, as now I'm at a point in my life where I'm talking to younger people and how I handle that responsibility.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, guys, we want to hear what you think about it. What are your thoughts on wisdom? What's your thoughts on Proverbs? And like we said, you can hit us up across social media, but you can also go to anchor.fm/FiveTwenty-collective. That's anchor.fm/FiveTwenty-collective, and leave us a voicemail. Tell us what you think, and maybe get featured on a future episode of the podcast. So we'd love for you to do that as well for us. Nate, I think it's a good time, man, for us to jump into this month's song. This month we are featuring the song Ivory Hill from our guy Old Man Xero, Tent Maker Music. It features an artist named Rep. Kind of a cool, different sound. Something that's a little unique to what we're used to playing on here. So I want to check it out, man, and come back and get your thoughts of it on the back end, if that's cool with you.
All right, let's do it.
All right, guys. Again, this is Ivory Hill, Old Man Xero.
standing at the bottom and the top. While you climbing every rock, you gon' need a rock just up on the rock, cause it gets a little rocky and not everyone will be there. Matter of fact, the bottom gonna seem too big, the top gonna seem too small, and I be hearing the voices that be coming from whirlwinds, earthquakes, fires. They think they know it all, yeah. Make no mistake, these words are fake. I've been in caves, I've seen the snakes that hiss through fangs. I pray for rain and drought when my life's been dry and my mind is saying I didn't run into the pews of church, I ran into the arms of Christ. As Christians took me to the cross just to take my life. Thank God that he kept it tight, yeah. So you can see I got more likes on my fingers than all my successes. They say if God got your back, then why don't you have blessings on blessings? You sit on your throne and pass judgment, cause my walk is different than you. Cause I run with this truth, I want people to look at me and let God be the view. But so what you, my name's Rep, that's what I'm gonna do. What? Complaining about the way I live, and you don't know a thing about it. Denigrate the way I feel, you ain't the one that takes the power. Denying that my scars are real, it ain't gonna change the way I got. So stay up on your ivory hill until the day you tumble down. Complain about the way I live, and you don't know a thing about it. Denigrate the way I feel, you ain't the one that takes the power. Denying that my scars are real, it ain't gonna change the way I got. So stand for your ivory hill until the day you tumble down.
It's time for the FiveTwenty podcast song breakdown, sponsored by
Show Me Christ Records.
All right, guys. Shout out to the guys at Show Me Christ Records. Check them out, showmechristrecords.com. And as always, they are a sponsor of this month's featured song. Go check them out. Great playlist. Make sure you support their artist, Jude. They're always doing some really cool, innovative, new things. ShowMeChristRecords.com, St. Louis, Missouri. Go and support them because they're awesome dudes. So now I gotta know, man. Old Man Xero, songs Ivory Hill featuring Rep. I know that it's definitely a different feel because it's got kind of this EDM, element to it, but there's still some hip hop infused in there. What did you think of the track?
I was pleasantly, really surprised. Actually, I really enjoyed the song. I mean, obviously we've heard some of Old Man Xero's music before. It's not in my regular rotation, I will admit. But listening to this song, you call it EDM. I was thinking it was more kind of rock infused to myself.
Yeah, it's a blend for sure. It's a blend.
Yeah, really liked that concept and how he put that all together. Obviously, the whole concept of the song felt like this voice in his head telling him he wasn't good enough, he didn't deserve what things he had. It was great, great song in that regards. Just overall, I thought the song was really well done. The one issue I did have, and very minor, felt like the vocals were flat in a couple spots, but overall, I thought the mix was pretty well done. The production was good too. A really good song from our guy, Old Man Xero.
Yeah, man. So one thing I like about Xero, dude, is that he's definitely, influenced by hip hop, but he doesn't limit himself to hip hop, right? Like you're pointing out, he's got this like melting pot when it comes to his music, where he puts a little bit of this and a little bit of that in there, and he's got a very unique voice. I think that's one of his strongest, just kind of skill sets. His strongest assets is that unique sound that he's able to produce vocally. And it all comes together, right? And he's always kind of thinking through and coming up with these compositions that are just different than what we're used to hearing, man. And I think he did that here with Ivory Hill. You know, he put out, you know, one of my favorite tracks in 2019, if I'm going to be honest with you, with his version of Wayfaring Stranger. You know, and there you got this folk background to that song, and he was able to give it, you know, a new life. And really, there's a lot of that feeling in this track, Ivory Hill, as well. And I'm with you, man. I mean, I think it's kind of the plight of the independent artist, but, you know, you can always, you know, have a better mix. Probably it's a matter of what's your budget, what can you fit in there. But overall, I'm with you. He did a good job.
It seems like a minor thing, you know. Vocals were a little flat, but it does make a difference. And if really that's the one complaint a person has about a song, you're doing pretty good as an artist. I mean, you know, tweak things here. I think you talk to most producers or engineers or whatever, the general rule is you can always improve your mix. I mean, that's the one thing I always hear from people. But overall, Xero did a really great job on this song. I enjoyed it. You know, this could possibly, you might see this on the sauce. You just never know.
All right, man. There we go. Well, guys, let us know what you think of it. Again, social media is at FiveTwentyCHH. And then, of course, on Anchor, anchor.fm/FiveTwenty-collective, where you can leave us a voicemail. Let us know. We want to hear what you think of the track. FiveTwentycollective.com. You can go on there, too, and leave us some comments. But, Nate, it is that time where we're going to jump into this month's Industry Insider interview. I was able to chop it up with a new friend of the platform, Lucky Murray. It was a fun and exciting episode, so I hope everyone sticks around after the break and comes back for segment 2 for our interview with Lucky Murray. Appreciate you guys tuning in to this month's 520 Collective podcast. We'll see you guys next time. Hey guys, what's up? This is Eric with 520 Collective and the 520 Collective podcast. I want to talk to you about Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way possible to make a podcast. Let me break it down for you. 1, it's free. That's right. No cost to use Anchor. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will also distribute your podcast for you. So if you want to get on platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and many, many more, then it's really, really easy, guys. You just set up an Anchor account at anchor.fm. You can also make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Again, make money, no minimum listeners. You're not going to find that anywhere else. It's everything you need to make a podcast, and it's all in one place. So go right now and download the free Anchor app, or go to anchor.fm to get started. And make sure you let them know you heard it on 520 Collective Podcast.
Welcome to this month's Industry Insider interview, brought to you officially by
Bookkeeper247.com.
All right, thank you for checking out this month's Industry Insider interview here on the 520 Collective Podcast. Shout out to our Industry Insider interview sponsor, the Bookkeeper 24/7. Make sure you hit up the Bookkeeper247.com. They, you know, those guys, Daryl and the team, they are doing their thing to promote and to support the Christian hip hop space. So make sure you support them. Bookkeeper247.com. And on this month's Industry Insider interview, I'm being joined by a relatively new friend of the platform, but I'm excited to get him on here nonetheless. And I'm gonna let him introduce himself because I love it, man. The way he does it is amazing. So go ahead.
What's going on, fam? It's the entertainer, the motivator, the educator, Lucky Murray in the building, baby. Eric, thank you so much for letting me do my thing, brother. I'm excited for this interview.
Yes, sir, man. I'm jealous of the just the tagline, and I could never do it that way, man. I wish someday. So, but nah, man.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I said it took a while to really get that tagline because, as you know, in any space that you're in, you want to have something that definitely sets you apart.
Yeah.
So for me, I said, what does three things God put me on this earth to do? He put me on this earth to entertain, to motivate, and to educate. So that's where I start off with everything I do, man. So yeah, man, if you get your tagline, man, you can get that tight.
Oh man, we'll see. And we're gonna dive into what's behind that tagline as well, man. But first things first, I think we gotta give a shout out to our guy Brinson, who played a role in this happening, man. If you getting on here, me and him was talking around the release of the new album, and he was like, dude, Lucky Murray, that's a dude you guys need to get on your podcast. And I'm like, you know what? You're not wrong. So let's just see what we can do. So, shout out to Brinson, man.
Yes, sir. Shout out to Brinson, man. I think it was probably like a year or so ago. His boy, I believe, Ready Rider, was like checking out my stuff on YouTube. And the funny thing is, when I started this thing out, I started as an artist at first. But then I was like, I don't put out music like that so that my YouTube channel can solely be a music-driven channel. So what do I want to do? And I think for like a year and a half, I was watching DJ Academics. And I was watching. And I said, man, I can do the same thing he does. And then at that time, the Crew's Hip Hop Corner and David Livick was actually starting to do a little something in the space as well. At that time, the Crew had about 900 subscribers when I subscribed to their channel. And then that's it. I started doing my spin. So I think a year or so fast forward, I think his boy Ready Rider saw me and saw my content and hooked him up with him. And then ever since then, me and Brinson built a relationship. Every artist that drops something, he sends that stuff to me and wants me to do a review on it, and that's how that relationship was started.
Yes, sir. Well, and that's the thing, man. Like, you see so many people talking about how Christian hip hop, we need more platforms, we need more media, we need people to promote. And it's like, dude, we're out here, and I think that's why I love seeing what you're doing, man, because you are putting out that media content and you're doing it at a high level. You're doing it, with quality behind it, man. How you kind of gave us a little bit of the insight, man, but like, where did that really, when did it really hit you? Like, this is what I need to do, and where's the place that you started?
Well, I think for me, I've always been into sports talk and talk in general. So that was always a thing for me, just to hear people talking. And I'm a talker. I can talk all day long. So when I approached the whole situation of being a media cover, I didn't even know what journalism was. I was joking with my wife a few weeks ago, actually, and I said, look, what I do is journalism. If I knew this was what this is, I would have went to school for this instead of culinary arts. But I think that I love not only gaining the story about a certain subject, but also rooting for the quote-unquote underdog. Hearing stuff that a lot of people are like, that's very interesting. And I think that within Christian hip-hop, we are in a space where we are the underdogs. The majority of us, the majority of artists, they work jobs, they have bills, they have things that can stand in their way of actually doing what they love to do, but they also have something inside of them that wants them to do music. And I think for me, the passion is, how can I use my platform and my voice to help discover the artists that may not even be known, even in our small community or genre, as a lot of people would say. So I think the passion comes in, for one, really loving what Christian hip hop is and really understanding what it's done to my life. And it really impacted me when I found out about it in 2012. And me having that same feeling, wanting to project that to anybody that listens to anything that I do.
Yeah, man. So, in your opinion, like, where's the place that you want people to start when it comes to finding and interacting with your content, man? Because like you said, you got some cool stuff going on in a few different places.
Well, I think the main thing that I want to do is I want people to I want to, in layman's terms, build a multimedia company. Like if you look at somebody like DJ Vlad has or not even DJ Vlad, because he's mostly on YouTube, but like Joe Rogan. You can listen to Joe Rogan on the YouTube, you can listen to Joe Rogan on Spotify, on different mediums, but it all points back to Joe Rogan. So I think that I want to leave an impression on somebody when they view my content no matter if it's YouTube, no matter if it's chhnow.com, no matter if it's 44 Radio, or even if I'm doing my own personal music, that it all ties into not only to me, but also the glory of God. Because at the end of the day, I want people to see, oh, well, Lucky is a dope artist, or Lucky's a dope personality, but he's even more dope, and he's a man of God. And I think that if I could point people, A, to the God, and also B, to me, or point people to everything I'm doing, it all ties in together. So whether they go to the site, whether they go to the YouTube channel, whether they go to my podcast, I want them to understand, like, look, no matter where you find me at, you're going to get a treat and you're going to get a show. So I think that I just want to be, have that arm reach out to as many places as possible so it can reach as many people as possible. And I think that that's why I branched out from YouTube. And I think that God has really, truly blessed it, because that's people that found chhnow.com didn't even know I did YouTube. There's people that I do YouTube don't even know that I have a blog site. There's people that follow my music and don't even know I do all this other stuff. So I think that it's a blessing, but really it all ties in together.
Well, let's break it down, man, and let's talk about the different areas that you have a presence in and what people can expect when they're getting there. I think the smart place to start is the website. So, you talk about, you got chhnow.com, and you recently went through a bit of I don't know that rebrand is the word, but maybe just updating to the site. Talk a little bit about that, man. Like, what are we going to get when we get on this site?
So basically what you're going to get on the site is you're going to get is focused mainly on CHH news, but also I have a heavy emphasis on up and coming independent CHH artists. So a lot of that content is friends that I've built a relationship with throughout the years, people that I covered on my YouTube channel, but also just music that may be bypassed by certain platforms within our space. I also have a CHH Now top 10 list. I have to revamp that a little bit, but that's a chart that basically what happens is that if you make that chart, you make it a top 10, and I rearrange the playlist to account for that week's or that month's top 10 list. I also have a radio dial where you can go and play 44 Radio, which is 24/7 Christian hip hop and urban gospel internet radio station. That's home to Review Fridays. And that is the show that I do every Friday. Well, I'm moving it by the time everybody listens to this podcast. It's probably going to be on Sundays until the summer when I move it back to Fridays. But basically, it's a day where I listen to artists for free and I give them critiques about their music and kind of pointers, and artists as well join into the live chat, which is on the website. And also you can submit your music to the site to be featured on the show. I only take artists that I submit their music through the show, because what I found out is that, and maybe this is going to change when the site gets really big, but there's so many people that submit their music through their site. You want to be able to filter it to see, hey, if I like it. If I don't like it, I don't play it. If I don't play it, I don't support it. And it's not because I don't like you as a person. It's just that I have to personally like your music in order for me to co-sign it. And I think that a lot of people will rather take the money than actually taking, just generally like caring about the audience that goes on the site. So that's pretty much everything that's on the site. What I had to do was I started out as a drag and drop blog site. But the demand for chhnow.com became so great that I had to rechange it, because I was like, wait a minute, I need to be able to put out blogs whenever I can. I need to be able to schedule blogs, and this drag and drop feature is not sufficient for me anymore. So I spent like a week and a half converting my site from a drag and drop to a WordPress site.
Yeah, man. And I think that you did that that update not long before we had the update on our site as well. So that was pretty cool to see that happening with you. I mean, that, gets me excited when I see other people making those moves and knowing that, it's a good thing for the space just in general, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely something needed. My wife was telling me, hey, Lucky, you need to go to WordPress at first. I was like, nah, I don't need to go to WordPress. I'm just chilling right here. Let me do my little drag and drop. It ain't going to be that big anyway. But what I realized is that the more people that found out about me and know exactly what I do, the more people that tell other people and they tell other people. And the biggest growth that I've seen is word of mouth.
Yeah.
So since that's happening, I'm like, look here, I'd rather do this now than a year or two my site really takes off and I have to do it anyway. So I'd rather do it now than later. So I decided to do it now, and God's been good. To say slightly, he's been really good.
For sure, man, for sure. And you talked about, the submissions and anyone that is involved with a platform. We understand what submissions is like, right? But I want to make sure that people know how to go about getting their content to you properly, man. Like what is the way that you want stuff to be submitted to you, that where you're going to take a look at it?
So, well, first thing first, I have a form. And the form is because if you just have a email address and say submit here, you will get an email with no subject line on there, a MP3 track, and nothing else. You don't know whether to play it. You don't know what it is. So basically, fill out the form. Make sure you put all the information on there. I'm not going to spam you. I know I ask for people's phone numbers, and that's because I reach people through a GroupMe app just to remind them about the show. I'm not going to take your phone number and spam you about different things. I am a creator myself. I understand what it's like for privacy. Another thing that I need artists to understand is the fact that please fill out your metadata. That is super important because when I pull up your track on my mixer, which that's what I broadcast on my live radio station, I need to know exactly what the track is, the name of the track, and all that good stuff. Please do not send rapper Big Dog final mix to Here We Go, number 3. I don't know what that is. So I think that fill out the form and then have the metadata tags properly done. And if you do those two things, I would generally give you a shot. And please do not make sure it's a troll track, because I had my first troll track submitted, I think, 2 weeks ago. And ever since then, I was like, yeah, let me listen to this real quick before I play it on the air. So that's the two things that I require.
Yeah, man, that's what's up. Again, guys, joining me on the Track Stars Podcasting Network phone line, it is Lucky Murray. We are talking about his website, CHH Now. Go and check it out. But I want to shift gears a little bit, man, and be able to talk about where I kind of became familiar with you, and that is through, well, one, I started seeing you on my Twitter timeline, right? And seeing what you were doing, I was like, this is cool. I like this. Let me find out what else he has going on. And that led me to your YouTube channel, man. And I think, man, you thrive in that YouTube space, man. It's so cool being able to see you do stuff that I know I probably could never do. So let's talk about the channel, man. And just like what we are going to experience when we, subscribe there.
So let's start the genesis of the channel. Basically, I started out, and I still do music. I now with my music focus more on local, because I realized that my global reach is more of a personality than it is my music. So for me, I want to focus on my local scene. But on YouTube, I had the idea of like, hey, what can I do instead of doing music that will get me to connect with people? And that's when earlier during the interview, I was watching DJ Academics. I watched DJ Academics for a year and a half. Just listen to what he was doing, because I work with teens and I work with youth in my area. And I wanted to kind of be hip to what's going on in hip hop, because I lost touch of hip hop for about 4 or 5 years. I didn't know who the new cats were. I didn't know the styles. I didn't know nothing. I was that old man still claiming the same with T.I. Rubber Band Man and his baggy shorts and his big tall white tee. That was my hip hop era. So I was like, oh man, I need to kind of see what the young people are doing. So that's when I started doing DJ Academics. And then that's when I subscribed to The Cruise, and that's when I subscribed to David Livingston. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to throw my hat in that thing. And I did it. So the first year, I was copying everything that what Rapzilla was doing, The Cruise was doing, David Livingston was doing. They did a story. I was going to do a story too. But now what I do is I bring a different perspective when it comes to stories about Christian hip hop. I do what happens. I haven't did one lately, but I'm about to drop some more. But that basically, I go in and I kind of do like almost like a documentary style of what this artist was doing or what happened to this artist. I do updates. I do CHH news. I do current events. So basically what they're going to do is they're going to get an entertaining story and a spin, whether they agree with me or not, about what's going on in CHH. So the big thing, and just an example, when people were saying, yo, Lecrae flop, I was like, how can Lecrae flop when he sold 10,000 records as an independent artist? You know, I can understand if you didn't like it. That is your opinion. But how can you say that if he has 10,000 records? You know how hard it is to sell 10,000 records as an independent artist in the streaming era. But you know, I pride myself on being different, being unique, being me. I don't try to fit into a culture. I don't try to become something that I'm not. I am truly Lucky Murray. I am truly somebody that if you saw me in the streets, two things you know, that boy love God and that boy is goofy, just like he is on camera. So I think that people really relate to that. And I've gotten a loyal fan base. And a lot of these bigger platforms like The Cruise, like Rapzilla, a lot of their listener base, their diehard listener base, know who I am, which is crazy. Because I look on their comments, and a lot of people who comment on their channel be commenting on my videos sometimes as well. So it's like, man, people, it's great that people are watching, but I'm not looking for validation. I already got validation in Christ himself. What I'm looking for is to be true to myself. And that's what you're going to get when you get to my YouTube channel.
Yeah, man. And you know, one thing I really like about what you do as well is like when you check it out, you know, it's not just a video of you talking, right? I mean, that you have great dialogue and great commentary, but you bring extra elements into it as well, right? I mean, whenever you're talking about a story, you're showing us, you know, what actually went on, whether it's like, hey, here's this back and forth on Twitter, and you've got Twitter pulled up so we can see it and we know exactly where you're at. You know, you add those little extra touches that I think makes what you're doing unique, man. Like what kind of just inspired you to be like, man, I'm gonna make sure that, you know, I'm screen sharing so that people can follow along, or whatever the case may be on stuff that you do.
Well, that came from when I first was doing it. I would cover the story, and at the time I didn't know how to screen share, and I just did the story and I summarized it. And somebody in the comments said, yo, Lucky, I wish you would have had the Twitter up so that I can see what you was talking about. And I said, oh, snap. So ever since that point, I was like, let me share exactly what I'm talking about so the listener can have a point of reference. Because the people that tune in, are they going to see the whole video? Maybe not. But the people that actually want to know the story is going to tune in. And you need to give them every information possible so they can look it up themselves to kind of get their own opinion. So I think that particularly came from simply trial and error. When I did that, I was like, you know what? I listened to the audience. And once I realized the audience was right, I changed my ways, because you got to pick and choose to what you listen to or not. A lot of people listen to voices that no matter what you do, they're going to come at you. They're going to come at your throat. So I decipher from what's good and what's bad. And that was a great advice that person gave me. So that's how I started doing that. So ever since then, if I got a story, I make sure I pull up the facts. I make sure I pull a video up. I make sure I do everything I need to do in order for me to do a story. And I could always just come in and freelance on it. And two, it helps me too to be like, oh, okay, this is what I'm talking about. Let me stay on topic.
Yeah, man, for sure. And, you know, another thing that I love about it is that you bring a very, like, even keel, unbiased approach to the topics that you talk about, right? And not only that, but you have, like, this genuine excitement that easily comes across in your videos, man. And I think that draws people in, dude. So I love it, man. Like what's on the horizon? What's coming for you in the channel? what should people be watching out for maybe as we get into, wrapping up 2020, heading into next year?
Well, I think the main thing I want to do is focus more on the documentary style videos along with the news stories, because there's a lot of things that I want to do that I have no idea that I need to research to do a video on, like the start of Christian hip hop, like Reese Wreck at the beginning, stuff that people want to know, or my favorite, a lot of people's favorite is the what happened. Where I go in and I do research on an artist and I say, what happened to this person? The one of my biggest ones that I did was Pyrex, when he goes by Kodak White now. But basically, I seen the crew did a video on it, and the Spirit of God told me, look here, why don't you just do a what happened to him? So I spent 2 or 3 days researching, piecing it together, and I put it out there. And every month, it seemed like people are finding that video and encouraged by that particular video. And I did that video like almost a year ago. So more documentary styles. I want to do more interviews with people within the Christian hip hop music industry so that it can have a different perspective. Because I know the person that does that, the go-to person for the music industry side is Ruslan number 1 and the Cruise number 2. But I believe there's still another space that you can come to where there are people like yourself. There's people that's killing it, but people have no clue who they are. So again, my love for discovery is probably going to be on the horizon for my YouTube channel. So look out for more documentaries. Look out for more almost journalistic type stories. Not just the, hey, Lil Craig just dropped a cuss word in this thing. Here's what he said. And he was very upset. I want to do more journalistic type stories. So I think going to 2021, that's things I'm going to gear up for. So I think I'm going to spend the end of this year gearing up for those things like that to kind of hit 2021 in the head with this stuff.
That's what's up, man. And then if people want to be able to follow you and get, kind of up to the minute things, and as you put it out, man, like where do they go, man? Like what social medias do they need to be aware of? All that good stuff.
So cool. My YouTube channel is probably the best way to get at me. It's youtube.com/Lucky Murray. That's LUCKYMU2RSAY. Also on social media is Lucky Murray, but Twitter, because somebody stole Lucky Murray and they won't give it back, is I'm Lucky Murray. Says I am LUCKYMURRAY. Twitter is a good way for me to go to. That's where you can follow me. I'm a great follow. That's what I think I am. So if you follow me, I'll follow you back, and we'll like each other. Not like that. I'm married. Y'all already know what time it is. Just understand that if you follow me, you know that you're gonna get somebody who's real, who's authentic, and who's genuine. The person that he is on the screen, he's in real person.
Yeah, man, that's what's up. That's what's up. Well, I'm so thankful that you took time to jump on to our podcast and we were able to talk about, how you got going and what you have happening. I'm gonna be honest, man. I hope that we can get you on here again to get the updates as they happen, because I'm excited about what I'm hearing. I think you're gonna continue to bring that excellent level of content to the space that is so desperately needed. So yeah, man, thank you so much for taking a little bit of time to jump on the podcast with us.
Hey man, Eric, thank you so much, brother. This, like I said, I thank God for every opportunity. I don't take anything for granted. And for you to even consider my channel, man, I'm just blessed and honored for you even to come my way, brother. So thank you so much. I would absolutely love to come back. Anytime you need me, just let me know.
That's what's up. So guys, make sure you go and follow Lucky Murray, subscribe to the YouTube channel, go hit up the website, CHH Now, like you said, on Twitter, all that good stuff. Support, because these are the guys that we need pushing this thing forward, and they need that support behind them in order to do that. So make sure you go and just click that button. It's super easy. Shout out again to the bookkeeper, 247.com, for sponsoring this interview, and all the rest of our podcast sponsors. And we will see you guys next month.